Greg, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
I don't know what's up with this thing. It was tripping. It just dropped the call out of nowhere. All right, it dropped the call out of nowhere, and then it just I don't know. That was the devil, man. I'm just joking.
I know some
But
people, I know some people who automatically go there every time that happens.
yeah. But anyway, long story long, I ended up just making this the understanding, coming to this place and saying I'm a believer in God, absolutely or not at all. You know what I mean? And I was just like, that's just how I decided to start rolling. And I was like, everything that is like antithetical to the idea of God being love, I'm going to drop it, even if it takes me my entire life. And I'm just going to go where that takes me. And I didn't know where it was going to take me, but I just like made that commitment. So basically that's where I am now. I don't know how I got to that statement, all that stuff I was just saying, but
well, that kind
that's
of
where
turns
it
it
is.
into turns it into a math problem. It's binary. It's either 0 or 1. God is love or he is not. And
Right.
I always, if you ever see when I text, a good example is my daughters. I make sure that I don't necessarily talk to them on the phone every day, but I text them every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like they said they removed the 40-minute limit for this meeting. So
Yeah, it said it no longer has a time limit. I don't know why,
but I capitalized because the Bible says God is love. So that's an equal sign.
Right.
That's an equal sign. God's on one side and love is on the other side. And you never write little g. So I don't ever write little l. I capitalize the word love. That's just me.
Yeah.
I'm just like that. But to me, it's a math problem, And that right there, that equation, you translate that to your whole life, and that's life changing,
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, let's change gears.
All right.
Zayd Atkinson, do you have any update on that, or is it sort of an ongoing thing with city council, or is it sort of dead in the water?
Well, I mean, there's been some changes that, out here. I was say what you're referring
for anyone
to.
Who doesn't know,
So Zayd Atkins was a dude. I don't think he lives in Boulder. I think he went out of the country altogether. But he was surrounded by police when picking up trash in his own yard out here in Colorado, in Boulder, where this area where Greg and I were living. And it sparked a lot of obviously controversy. Thank God this dude didn't get shot, because I was watching that video like, oh my God, please don't tell me this dude's about to die, because he is not doing anything. Yeah, I was like stressed. Man, that thing almost made me leave too, man. It almost made me leave here.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was hard. And then the watching, obviously for him, my God. But basically, they did the NAACP and a lot of other organizations here made like a big push, and they're doing some kind of stuff with the police oversight and things like that. In the community, there's one woman, she's making a documentary film that was kind of based off of it. And I'm actually in that documentary. It's about race in Boulder, like the history of race in Boulder and everything like that. And then
what's the name of it?
The movie, it's a working title. They haven't finished it yet. They're still filming it.
Cool.
But yeah, it's been very interesting in terms of conversations, because there's like a reference point. I think if you're gonna say that there's a gift to it, it's that there's a reference point in the community to say, remember what happened with Zayd? Like, this shouldn't have happened. You know what I mean? And it's like everybody knows it. So it's like, it's hard to have those conversations of like, oh, that's not around here. I mean, by God's grace, he wasn't killed. But to be surrounded by a bunch of police officers when you're just picking up trash in your yard and you didn't do anything. And then and then people, I don't know, man, I'm having flashbacks while I'm talking about it. And it didn't even happen to me. But in a way, it happens to a lot of us,
Yeah. you know, you put yourself, I try to put myself in his shoes, and, you know, the thing about it is, if he had, I bet, you know, 9 times out of 10, people know what the cops have done in this country and don't want to die. They want to see their wives or their daughters or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they would probably put the trash picker up or down, and then you would have no story. It would just be another black man has to submit to some white police officer, you know?
Right.
So in a way, I'm glad he had the balls to stand up to him. But yeah, I was watching the video and just thinking, my God, am I going to watch this man die? And then when I try to put myself in the officer's shoes, it's tough because it's really hard to think, because I'm watching the guy with his gun out the whole time. Like, it's hard to imagine that the officer was actually scared of the trash picker upper.
Right.
You know? And when he had 7 other officers there, he still was, I'm assuming he was still scared because he still had his gun out. Like,
yeah. And then the other dude had like some kind of assault rifle or a shotgun or something, and he walked out. I was like, what in the world? And the dude had a trash clamp, and they kept saying blunt object. Like, you know what I mean? Like the words they chose to describe the situation made it seem like more like it was threatening, when it was just like he had a white bucket and a pincher thing to pick up trash, and they're like, he's got a blunt object.
Yeah, it's a grainy video, and in the grainy video, you can on a laptop screen, you can make out that it's a trash picker upper in a bucket. You know?
Right.
So that's just, it's hard for me to put myself in the officer's shoes and understand it. But you know, the other thing I remember thinking was, he made a lot of noise.
Oh,
and it went on for a long time.
I know.
And there was somebody filming it. And what the fuck? And that's, excuse me. I'm not going to be anti-cussing because, you know, I mean, I'm just a regular guy. But I try not to get too emotional. But even right now, thinking about it, I'm like, because I've been in situations like that, and it's just really annoying that nobody decided it was a good idea to come out and save this man's life.
Right.
In 15 minutes, that you can film, and you know, people were hearing and looking at. You know, I'm making an assumption that people that somebody around there heard, and somebody out was looking out the window, probably more than just the one guy that was filming. But it took 15 minutes for somebody, the manager or whatever, to come out. You know, that bothers me.
Right.
But
yeah. And the person who was filming was yelling at the cops too, but still behind the screen.
Behind the window, yeah. Like, you know.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I could feel my head starting to hurt just thinking about it. But, you know, it's good to be able to witness that inside of oneself. But I know that was like a life-changing, like from a certain perspective, because I actually yelled at a cop one time. Because somebody said to me, like, oh, you know, he shouldn't have yelled at the officer and all this other stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, he shouldn't have. But then there's something built up inside of you that you just like sometimes the cork pops, you know what I mean? And I started having flashbacks because I was in Texas, and I was like pulling off the base, and I saw the police officer, and I thought to myself, like, you know, a lot of times if I see a police officer, all this stuff starts flashing through my brain, and I'm like, and I said, you know what? I'm not doing anything. There's no reason for him to stop me, so I'm just not going to think anything. And then I'm going to clear my mind from it. And then I pulled out. But then I realized I forgot something on the base. So I made like a U-turn, which was a legal U-turn. Now that it was okay for me to make this U-turn. And then next I was like, woo! And then I was like, what? and then when he stopped me, I was just like, man, what? And I started yelling, which is not even like me. But it was just like, I think it was just like, I couldn't believe it because I was like, I've been stopped for so many stupid things in my life that I was like, I got stopped one time because I saw the police officer did too, and I was at a stop sign, so I wasn't doing anything. Literally at a stop sign, like different cars went. Then I'm go to, and it's my turn to be at the stop sign. I'll stop, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. Next thing up, woo! I'm like, what? And then I was like, man, I can't. And my daughter was in the car, and he told me he stopped me because the front of my bumper was in the crosswalk a little bit, and if somebody had been walking by at that moment, I would have tapped them with my car. And I'm like,
wow.
I was like, what? And my daughter started crying and screaming, and then he just left. She was like, don't hurt my daddy, don't arrest my daddy, which is sad for my daughter. And then he was like, I'm not. And then he let me go. But that jacked me up for a minute too after what happened to Philando Castillo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to set this one up a little bit. This is coming from someone who I kind of left Texas almost on a whim, and moved to Boulder.
Mm-hmm.
And in retrospect, it wasn't really on a whim. It was a reaction, just like all this stuff we've been talking about the last few minutes.
Right.
It was a reaction. I've been, I can't tell you how many times I've been in a corporate setting, a highly paid, highly technical network engineer, and, just people saying the most god-awful things with impunity.
Mm-hmm.
And 9 times out of 10, I would bite my tongue because I need that check. It was a good check. But
right.
But I actually thought, you know what? I think I visited Boulder, and then I moved there really shortly after, and part of it was the medical marijuana. I liked the idea of that. I think they were the first in the country, or recreational, and they were one of the first in both. And also I thought, the politics there are good. It's like the most educated place in the country, or one of the top educated places. Do we still have audio?
Yeah, we still have it.
And okay, and I thought, these are like some of the best white people around. And if I can't make it there and feel comfortable there and thrive there, then God help me, So anyway, I moved to Boulder, and Boulder is really awesome. I mean, it's a great city, and like I said, there's some of the best white people around. But I don't live there anymore, and that's a whole. It's a bigger story, and I can go into it, but basically the same thing on the job, just complete disrespect. And it just doesn't matter where you go. So, having said that, I feel like you're there. It's a great place, and they're some of the best white people I've ever encountered. But how do you stay sane around all those white people? It's 90. When I was there, it was 97% white. Now I can't remember if that's the city of Boulder or the county of Boulder or whatever, but that was the number I remember, was 97% white. And I really started feeling isolated, especially when I started looking to date sisters. And
you started what?
In Boulder, there's like no sisters, no black women.
Oh yeah. Your phone cut out, but I hear you now.
So yeah, I was just looking at everything like, okay, I'm being disrespected on my job. I'm not going to be able to find a woman that that I'm looking for, and so I ended up leaving. But I guess my question is, how in the hell, and I know there's plenty of other people out there that I know that I still talk to that are still happy out there and thriving out there and everything. But what's your secret, man? How do you deal with it like that when it's so homogenous?
I mean, I don't have a secret, bro. I'll tell you like this. Now what I'm gonna say it might sound ignorant, but I'm like hearing myself. I'm just gonna say what's on the top of my brain. But like, I think happiness is overrated. Like, I don't believe it. I don't really even understand happiness as a concept. I'm just being straight up with you. Like, I got
something to say about that. All right, go ahead.
Okay, but like as I look at my life, like I never like, I see some people, they'll say, okay, they have this idea of happiness that exists in their brain. I don't really know where they got it from, right? But they're like, happiness, this is what it is. And then they compare the life that they have to whatever that's in their mind that they tell them is happiness. And then if it doesn't match, they get upset. And if it does match, then they're like, okay, well, whatever they feel. And when I look at my life, I'm like, I don't know where they came up with that idea. My brain doesn't even know how to make it up. I'll just be real with you. So it's like, I told you earlier, I don't really argue with what is. So like, when I was younger, like my parents used to argue whatever they had to do. They broke up, got divorced. My dad bounced. I went, my brother was sick, so I was always bouncing from people's houses, like people handing me off all the time. I spent a lot of time by myself, just like sitting in chairs, just waiting. And like sometimes just like in the house by myself. I was like, had my little brother, I was taking care of him. I was like 6, like cooking on a gas stove. You know what I'm saying?
Did you play with fire a lot?
And not, you know what I'm saying? Like not having lights, not having water, we're having to hide. Cause I'm like being more open about it now that I'm older. But like, cause we were too embarrassed to let people know, you know, well, I wasn't embarrassed, but let's just say that we didn't want to tell people what we were going through. We eating cornflakes all the time. So it's like, that was my reality. So I wasn't like comparing it. I just was like I said, I was like, well, when I die or get killed or whatever, I don't want my grandma to lie at my funeral. So let me just try to just be all right. And then like somehow, like I just like my spaces kept changing, and it was never really like I was trying to seek it necessarily. I was just trying to like just live, learn. So when I'm here, it's like the one time I tried to think about like happiness and stuff like that, and said like I deserve something different. I moved to Atlanta because I was tired of some stuff similar to what you're talking about. But that didn't necessarily bring whatever I thought it was going to bring either. And so then I just like, I gave that a shot. So now I just like live, you know, moment to moment, man. It's like, and I just try to like, you know, just keep adding that love to my life, man. And it's like, I'm talking to you on this video. I'm just saying, you know, doing like a stream of consciousness or whatever, but I really don't compare it to anything else. Like if it's time for me to go, I'm going to go. If it's time for me to be here, I'm going to be here. And then, you know, that's it. So I don't expect it. And I don't expect it to be something that is not. Like I know that people here say one thing, and I think they some of them genuinely mean it. But when you don't have exposure and proximity to people, it's easy to be like you sitting in your house, this is a joke, and then I'll shut up. But this dude said it the other day at the men's breakfast that I lead, and it was like the guy was praying, and he was like talking to God, and he was like, "Dear God, you know, so far today, I haven't lied, I haven't cheated, I haven't coveted, I haven't done anything harmful to anyone, and I've been, you know, doing the best that I can do. Now I'm about to get out of this bed, and then I'm gonna need your help."
I like that.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and that's what. So I think like here, people can like imagine that they're open-hearted, open-minded, but they're not exposed to the grittier reality. So it's easy to be like, I love people and everything like that. And then they might see me or you or something, and walking down the street, and then they cross the street, and they're like, "Oh, why did I do that?" You know.
Yeah, my take is this, and I think of Facebook, and I think of memes, you know, the memes on Facebook, and what I think is, whoever told you, not you, but you know, whoever said that your goal is for you to be happy. Like that cannot be, if that's your goal, to me, I say if your goal in life, and I see this a lot in dating, you know, I just want to be happy. I just want happiness in my life, and I don't have room for anything else. Who in the hell told you that should be a goal in life? Because if that's your goal in life,
I don't know.
Is there a Rosa Parks? Is there a Harriet Tubman? Is there any sort of even like, you know, any kind of a CEO that's the head of a company or a nonprofit or anything like that? If your only goal is just to be happy, that's not nobody said that's supposed to be what you're supposed to do in life. You know, it's just to be happy, you know, like, happiness is a component of life that is a byproduct of doing what you're supposed to do, but you're not supposed to just, it's like the love of money. Like money is money, but you're not supposed to love money. And it's like happiness is happiness, but you're not supposed to make happiness your goal in life. I don't know where this came from, but it's rampant these days.
I don't know, bro. I'll tell you. I mean, I don't say it to a lot of people because then it sounds like depressing. Because I've been accused by some people that say, because I like laugh or whatever. But some people say, "Oh man, once I talk to you, you're a bummer." But I just like. Yeah. But it's like, to me, like saying like all you want is happiness is like saying like that's like one crayon in the box, and you want to color something, and you're like, I want pink, and then that's it. Like everything's pink. It's like all sorts of different expressions, and in my experiences, God created all of them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's things you can't just be walking around like I want to be happy. It's sometimes you're not supposed to be happy. You know, some garbage happens, and then you're like, oh, I just want to be happy. It's like, what are you talking about?